An angel on my mind. Hosting voices who can find. Listening in the dead of night. Never knowing who's right.
Hello, welcome back to a new looking, new sounding Voices with the U Run podcast. I love our new intro. My name is Scott.
And I'm Angel.
And we are incredibly out of practice because we record in advance. And the last couple of times we recorded bulk episodes. So we've not recorded since like the summer.
Well, has it been that long?
I think so. I think the last time we recorded was like August.
No way.
I think
It's
so.
been since August. We had one in October or September.
Did we?
Either way.
That's still 3 months ago. That's ages.
It doesn't feel like it, but it does feel like it, yeah.
It does. Today, we are here to talk all about that wonderful time of the year.
Oh my, the balls are gone.
Merry Christmas, motherfucker.
Are you a Mariah hater as well? Because every time I play those first few notes, people go, oh.
No, I think I'm not like, I like the family element of Christmas, but I think Christmas is like not really just my cup of tea. Like, it's just not, it's obviously, to be cliche as a horror fan, my favorite holiday is Halloween. And so Christmas is just like, I will force myself to listen to Christmas music to help me not be like a Grinch, but other than that, I don't. And I do skip the Mariah Carey song. But I think it's just because people start playing it like super early to like mess with people who are into Halloween. Like there's whole gifs and videos and everything about like her switching from the witch to the Christmas. And you just hear so much about it before it's even time for the song. They're already sick of it by the time December rolls around, you know?
And the crazy thing is, midnight, November 1st, every year, I post a video about Mariah. And every year it gets loads and loads of hateful comments. And it's wonderful. It puts me in the Christmas spirit to know that so many people are full of so much hatred as soon as I show Mariah Carey. Makes me happy. We're going to share today some of our top Christmas horror movies. There are going to be some in here that you've never heard of. There's going to be some popular ones as well. There's some in here that Angel needs to explain to me what they are, because there's two on her list that I have never even seen and never even heard of. And after a quick Google, I'm like, I have to know exactly what that is and where I find it. I am going to give an honorable mention purely for the fact if I don't, there's going to be a huge slew of people in the comments complaining. Terrifier 3 is a Christmas movie. You can watch it if that is your thing. There you go. There's the honorable mention for Terrifier 3. Sure. That's all it's getting. You can kick off this. What is your number 5?
Yeah, if I'm hoping I remember the order correctly based on what I sent you. I think I did that. So my number 5 is All the Creatures Were Stirring,
which I've lost my image for. That's really annoying. Where's it gone? There it is. That is this.
Yes.
I know nothing about this. Only I Googled and got a quick couple of images. Help me. Yeah. What is it?
Yeah. So all the Creatures Are Stirring is a horror Christmas anthology. So it's got an overlapping story, and then it's got like four holiday horror movies. So there's some that are about like curses. There's one that's almost like about kind of like aliens. There's one that's about like this weird sense of like I don't know, it's like a more of like a, I wouldn't call it a slasher per se, but it's basically a people type of horror. But anyway, it's got like a very interesting mix of different types of stories, but they all take place on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. So they're all they're all Christmas themed specifically. And it's just, it's a Christmas horror anthology that I found, I think on accident, like a couple years ago. but I watch it every season now because I just really ended up liking it. Not all of the installments are like super super strong, but I think that they're all weird enough to at least be entertaining. And then there's some really good ones. So yeah,
Yeah, and
I'll agree.
I think that's the thing with all anthologies. There's always a couple in there that you're like, nah, not this one's okay. And
Yeah.
if they've got a couple of really strong ones, those okay ones, you're just like, nah, okay. The next one's
You just
great.
yeah, you're fine with it. Yeah. Yeah. So this is one that I'm trying to remember how I found it. I want to say it was like a Hulu exclusive, maybe because Hulu does like Halloween, and then they do like they have holiday horror stuff that they do as well. And so I think that's how I found it, but it was a pretty random find one year. I was just like, oh, and then I watched it, and now I watch it all the time or every year.
Okay, well, I'm going to add it to my watch list because I've
It's
like I
good.
say, I've never heard of it until today. I'm going to preface my number 5 by saying my Christmas horror movies are very much, I want something silly that's full of Christmas
Oh,
fun that gets me in that kind of, yes, it's Christmas. I want something that takes Christmas and rams it down my throat in a very horror way.
yeah.
So, kicking off with then a movie that starts on a Hawaiian island, um, Jack Frost 2.
Oh,
This movie is absolutely terrible in every sense of the
mhm.
word. It is a incredibly sexist Jack Frost who has Jack Frost snowball babies, and they attack people on a desert island because he can now make snow everywhere. It's a full-on comedy tone, not like the first one, which has some real dark elements in the first Jack Frost. This is just balls
Right.
to the walls. How silly can we make it?
Silly.
There's a point in this where they catch one of the baby snowball things, and the woman turns it into a margarita. It is cheesy, it's terrible, but it just fills me with so much like, yeah, this is Christmas. This is like they have a snowball fight. Like they're on a Hawaiian island, it starts snowing because Jack Frost is there, and all the people react like real people. They're like, it's snowing. This is weird. Let's have a snowball fight. It's great. I
Yeah.
love it. Any thoughts on Jack Frost 2?
I have not seen it. So I'm like, I prefer serious stuff. So it's probably not something I would just be over the moon with. But yeah.
We are going to give people a decent mix here, though, because it says it in our intro. We've joked about it for years. Our likes, there are very few crossovers we have, and when we do have a crossover, that movie tends to be top tier, triple A
Yeah.
plus, the best thing ever. But as a
Yeah.
general rule, we've got very different tastes in horror, which for an episode like this, which we don't normally do, is perfect because we're not going to
Yeah.
get 5 movies the same.
Yeah.
What are you coming in with at your number 4?
Yeah. So my number 4 is a Hulu exclusive. It's part of their Into the Dark series or whatever it's called. It's Puka.
Right. Explain this to me.
Okay.
What on
Puka
earth is that?
Puka is a psychological Christmas horror movie in which this guy who is really wanting to be an actor, but he's struggling to get work, gets the opportunity to dress up and wear this costume as this newest upcoming super popular toy, Puka. And Puka is supposed to have blue eyes and supposed to be, it's essentially kind of like almost like a Furby, sort of. And it's like the newest toy, like the newest toy sensation. So basically there's this it's hard to talk too much about it because I do want, if these people watching haven't seen it, then you should watch it because it's very interesting. But there's a twist in the movie, I would say like 2/3 of the way in, where you realize that everything that you've been watching is not what you thought it was. And it was very well done, I feel, to be like a Hulu exclusive because they don't always put out the best stuff. But essentially he starts to see stuff and bad things starts to happen, and he thinks the suit is making him do these things. And yeah, and by the end of it you're left like, what the like, you just end up being completely like, I put it on mostly because I call my son Puka. Puka is like a dark fairy. It does have some
Okay.
lore around it, in a different in a different way. But I call my son that. I've always called him that since he was a baby. I didn't even know that it had lore. It was just something that came to me naturally. And so when I saw that there was a Christmas horror movie, which is one of my favorite things, it was called the same thing I called my son. I was like, oh, done and done. And I watched it and I absolutely loved it. It does have a sequel. You can probably skip that one, but the first one was super, super good. And it's just a wild ride. Like you think this whole time, you think you know the story that you're getting, and then it reaches a point where you realize that everything that you've been seeing before just was not real, or not the truth of what's going on. And so it just gets very interesting. And the ending was emotional and just not something I had expected from a movie that has something in it that looks like this. But it's really, really good. And it's all about Christmas. It's got a lot of commentary on like consumerism and things that have to do with like people. It's kind of like Jingle All the Way, where people like fighting over toys and like that kind of thing. So, but it's a multi-layered experience, but it's a good one. I recommend it for sure.
Yeah, and honestly, it sounds awesome. And just off of that one image alone,
It's great.
I am 100% in, because
Yeah.
I want to see the giant Furby go
It's
nuts.
weird.
It looks
it's great.
great.
No, it's
My
great.
next one up is a real curveball as well. Even odd for me. This is a movie that doesn't get anywhere near enough love.
Yeah.
Do you have any idea what this movie is?
I don't.
This is a movie called Rare Exports. So this
Oh, I've never
is
heard of that.
this is a pair of kids who go up and they think they found Santa's lair. And it turns
Oh,
out they have found Santa's lair and all the mythical creatures that go along with that. Now, you can imagine that when this news reaches the government and militias and things like that, these are wonderful things that you could export and trade in. And there are excellent scenes of people hunting down elves and reindeer and Santa. And Santa in this is badass. Like he is full on violent night level kick ass Santa. This movie's so much fun. And it starts off in a very whimsical way.
yeah.
And there's lots of comical elements in it as well. And it's one of those movies that leads you in a really like, oh, this is lovely. This is quite a sweet Christmas. But oh, they're going to find Santa's lair. Oh, hold on, Santa's not up for visitors. He's not the nicest of guys. And then like
Huh.
it's so wild from start to finish. There's like full on gun battles with like elves running around and killer snowmen, and it's super cool. And it doesn't get enough love. I want to say it's Swedish or Finnish, but it's not
Oh.
an English language film, but it is absolutely fantastic. Of all the ones on my list, if you've not seen them, this is the one that I would say, if you've not seen it, give it 15 minutes watch, and I guarantee it will hook you to a point where you go, well, I have to see how it ends now. Like, it's got me now. I need to see it through. It's so much fun.
Yeah, I've never heard of this one.
This is great because not only are we can't discuss the movies because neither of us have seen each other's picks, but hopefully people who are watching haven't seen them either.
Yeah.
Add
Add 'em to the list.
them up to our list. What's next on your list?
Yeah, this one's a pretty cliche. Well, I think my last three are probably pretty cliche. My number 3 is Gremlins.
Oh, bye, Billy. I love Gremlins. This ties in really nicely as well because my number 3 is also Gremlins.
Yeah.
So not only do we
Gremlins is
have,
great.
we've got a match and in the same place in our
Weird.
chart as well. What is it about Gremlins that you love? Because for me, I watched this as a really little kid. Like I must have been 6, maybe younger when I first watched Gremlins, and I remember the actual Gremlins terrifying me. But for me,
Yeah.
it's all about Gizmo.
Yeah, I think I don't actually remember how old I was when I saw this for the first time, but I've watched it off and on my whole life. I think I had like a stuffed Gizmo at some point in the 90s. But I think, initially I'm sure probably what it was because it's a creature feature essentially, and I've always from a very young age been drawn to those. I think it's weird because like I don't know that I've ever been scared of gremlins per se, but I've always loved how simple it was to just fight against them. I feel like sometimes when you watch monster movies, it's like there's a lot of hiding and a lot of we can't do this and we can't do that. And in this, you've got, you know, gremlins blowing up in the microwave, and you've got them being like all these things happen to them. And I think that's always been super fun and appealing because I've never taken that movie too seriously. Although it does have that one random part, right, where she's like, "Oh yeah, and my dad dressed up as Santa and died in the chimney," and like all that stuff. But aside from that, which is totally out of left field, you know,
There's that, but no one. I don't know if you've noticed this. She does it in Gremlins 1 and in Gremlins 2. That
and
character
he's
has
like,
this
"We can't
tragic.
get into this right now." She's like, "Oh, don't even get me started on President's Day." And he's like, "Honey, we can't do this right now. Like, we can't. We got other shit to worry about." Um, yeah,
It's so funny that like it's horrific because she's got this tragic tale and she tells them in multiple movies, and every time whoever she's telling is like, yeah, look, that's great and all, like park it. Like, have you sinned? There's gremlins. We need to deal with
we've
this
got to
right
deal
now.
with whatever this is going on. Yeah, I and then like recently, like two Christmases ago, I introduced well, he was 4.5 at the time, now 6. But I introduced him to gremlins to see kind of how he would feel about them, and he's been obsessed there. He does prefer 2, which is understandable. 2 is very silly, and there's a lot more going on with 2. You get a lot more gremlin action and stuff, but he loved it too, and we watched it right before Christmas, and it's, you know, it's a rewatch. Well, we have to rewatch all the time now because he likes it. But and then I think now as an older person, I recognize different things in it. I don't think it was ever meant to be a super serious movie, but there's some really cute little things with like the family dynamics and things, you know, that I didn't really notice until I was older. Like I mean the guy, you know, the husband is like this, you know, he's this inventor, but he can't make anything that works. Like,
No,
and he's just this big giant just dumpster fire of things. And the wife is just like, you're doing your best, and she's just always like still trying to use his stuff no matter how bad it messes up their house. Like, and I appreciate that. She's just like, this is his dream, I got to be supportive, I guess. But like, I don't know, like there's just things like that I noticed as a grown up. But it's just a fun little creature feature. It's hard not to love Gizmo, and there's just some funny things, and yeah, it's just very entertaining.
yeah, and in truth, you and me are that guy. We are the dad because we've got super supportive partners that are going, you're doing great. Just keep going, keep going. I'll watch all your stuff. I'll like and share all your stuff. And we're going, thank you. And yeah, like that is really nice because it's real. It's a real element
It
that you,
can be, yeah, for sure.
yeah. And also, there are many people I've met in my life, very much like Mrs. Deagle, who is the biggest bitch in all
The
of horror.
wicked witch of the, yeah. She's
Yeah.
the worst. When she comes in for that dog, I don't know how he didn't punch her in her mouth. Like, I'm telling you, like, I know he's such a nice kid, or he's, you know, he's a young adult, I guess. He's such a nice kid though. Once you pass 30, everybody's a kid. But he's so nice. I'm like telling you right now, if some lady like showed up where I worked and threatened to like hurt one of my animals, I'm going to jail. Like, I'm not putting up with it. She is a nightmare of a human being.
She is, but she does get fired out of a first floor window on a stair lift, which makes it all okay.
Rightfully so. Yes.
Yes. I'm going to go in with my number 2.
Mhm.
Again, I don't know if you've seen this. I think you have, and I've got a feeling it's not one that you were particularly fond of. Mine is Christmas, Bloody
Christmas, Bloody
Christmas.
Christmas. Yeah.
Your response to that was, yeah. I like that. This movie has something that not many movies get right. Take away the robot Santa, remove robot Santa from this equation completely. The dynamic between the group of friends, where they're all sort of getting ready for Christmas and none of them are going away and they're all trying to plan things together. I found that so authentic to me when I was sort of in my early 20s, that sort of just before Christmas, you're not really doing a whole hell of a lot. So you go and grab a beer with some friends, and like that whole dynamic is what hooked me into the movie. I'm a huge fan of Terminator, and this is a full on rip off of Terminator. They've just
Yeah.
stuck him in a Santa suit.
Yeah. No, I hated this movie. I turned it off. The thing for me is that like I don't assume that everybody is normal and talks to their friends the way that I do, because I know that's probably not reality. But I just felt like the way that the dialogue was written, I was like, no one talks to another human being this way. Like I couldn't get. I was like, I cuss, I say things, I can handle vulgarity to an extent, but I was what, like, what part of the world is this from where people just talk like this all the time? Like it did not feel real to me. It felt completely fake, and it felt like it was just this like meant to be over the top because that's the point of the movie, I feel. But I didn't even get to the Santa. Like I didn't even get to it because it took first of all, it
No.
took way too long to get to that part. But I was listening to these people talk to each other and I was like, yeah, I'm good. I don't need this in my life. I'm good.
Oh, that's a shame because the bits when it does get to the Santa, some of Santa's kills
Yeah.
are they're up there for not just kills in a Christmas movie, but kills in a slasher. Full stop. Some of his kills are
Mhm.
absolutely fabulous, and the way they take him down is brilliant as well. But yeah, you're right. The threshold for what language you can tolerate in quick succession for a solid 25 minutes in the opening of this
Yeah, I was
movie.
gonna say I went like a half hour into this before I just gave up.
Yeah, every other line is pretty much,
Merry Christmas, motherfucker.
yeah. Oh,
And
well.
it's not well, and it's not just that because the cuss words and stuff don't bother me, but when it's like over the top sexual vulgarity, I'm like not interested. Like I don't and it's like and it was like the two people in particular was like the female and the male too much. I just couldn't do it. I was like no, I'm telling you right now again, like if someone ever spoke to me the way that out, like you're gonna get knocked out. Like I would never put up being like absolutely not. And so I just I couldn't do it. I couldn't even get to the Santa parts because I felt like that part was just so unbearable. I couldn't get through it.
Oh no, I'm not doing very well today. Like nearly every one of my movies, you're like, I've not seen that. I have seen that, and that's shit. I'm hoping that my number one is one that you like. Otherwise, this is a full five and bust. Bar Gremlins. What's your number two?
Oh, my number 2 is Krampus. Come on,
Oh,
man. So good. This is another great example of PG-13 horror that's fun, that works. You've got gingerbread man on fire flying through the air trying to kill people. You've got these crazy toys, these weird elf creatures. Krampus looks badass. You feel this the ending is super dire, honestly. I know some people interpreted it a little differently, but to me it is not actually a very happy ending.
no.
Um but I also genuinely love the family in this. Like Tony Collette plays the mom, Adam whatever plays the dad, and they are great together. Like as husband and wife, there's like this weird moment right before stuff starts to get really, really crazy where they're sitting together and I forget exactly what they say, but she says or he says something about really missing making each other laugh or really missing like having laughing together or something to that effect because the whole point of Krampus is lesson teaching, right? So
Yeah,
if you do these bad things, this is the bad thing that's going to happen because you're not doing the right things, you're not being appreciative, you're not whatever. And this family does not appreciate each other at all. They're arguing, they're fighting, they've grown apart, they're just living life, and just taking it in stride versus sticking together, being in close. And I really love that I love that this like silly lore German story could be turned into something that also at times was super heartfelt and very warm. And I thought the performances in it were super good. But I love Krampus. It's like it's one of my absolute favorite. In general, I love it as a movie in general, but I think for Christmas horror, it's like it's one of the peak ones for me for sure.
yeah. See, I really enjoy Krampus. I think why Krampus doesn't make my list is because it is a very serious movie. I watch Krampus every year
Yeah.
without fail. I thoroughly enjoy it, but I'll be honest, that's one that I stick on early on. Like the closer I get to Christmas, the more
Mhm.
goofy and silly I want my movies.
Sure.
And by the time
Yeah.
I'm like at Christmas Eve, I'm at like a Nightmare Before Christmas level. That's where I am just
Yeah.
before Christmas. Because for me, with the channel and with what I do, I watch horror day in, day out. all
Yeah.
year round, and I don't
Yeah.
take a break. I watch other stuff as well, but like I'm normally watching 2 or 3 horror movies a week for the show, and when it gets
Mhm.
around to Christmas, I love horror, but I also like Christmas, and I need to have enough
Yeah.
goofiness injected
Yeah. This
into
isn't
that
that
horror.
goofy. Yeah.
No, this isn't goofy. This is really good. There are some scenes in this that really are heart in your mouth moment, like when Krampus, especially that scene around the car where the girl's
Yeah.
underneath the car, like that. I'm like, don't move, don't say a word. This is
So
uncomfortable.
scary.
Stay so still. It's a great, great, great movie.
Yeah.
My number one is the pinnacle of how goofy, how silly,
Oh
how
no.
exciting, and how fun a Christmas horror can be. And it's a musical that we covered last year.
Oh,
It
yeah.
is Anna and the Apocalypse.
Yeah.
Um,
I should have known.
yeah, and if anyone has not seen Anna and the Apocalypse, this is a movie about a zombie apocalypse that comes to a town, and it happens at Christmas. And it is a full ass Greatest Showman, wicked, full on musical with full musical numbers and explosions and giant candy canes that they attack people with, a really evil school teacher. Like, it's like the nativity level musical for stage elements of this, and I
Mhm.
absolutely adore it. It's so much fun.
Yeah. Yeah. We covered this one last year, right? I think.
Yeah,
Yeah, and last year was my first time watching it, but no, it's a great one. It's very light, very funny. But it doesn't like the music doesn't suffer as a result of the comedic elements or the horror elements. Like it's still a very strong musical. Like that stuff aside, like the music is great, the lyrics are awesome, like the performances, like it's all really, really, really well done. And I think going into it, maybe if it's a first watch, you might not even be expecting that, but it is like these people are super talented and they did a really, really good job.
they really did, and it's also very dark. There are some real dark elements along the
There
same
is,
lines as
yeah,
like Shaun of the Dead. Like Shaun of
yeah,
the Dead was never afraid of taking a character that you've grown attached to and that you now love and killing them. Anna and the
yep,
Apocalypse is very much in that vein. Oh, you
hmm,
love this character. We know we've made this character super likable. You're going to watch him die now. There's an element of that in it, which I kind of like when films have the balls to do that, because so many films are like, well, let's take any horror movie, any slasher. At the start, they go, "This is your final girl. This is the person you're going to love, and they're going to make it to the end." Anna in the Apocalypse goes, "This is one of the main characters. They're gonna no,
yeah,
they're not. We're gonna kill him," and I appreciate that.
yeah.
But yeah, that's they're my top five. Um, what is your number one? Because I've got a feeling you're going to go with something that we've not spoken about before.
We haven't spoken about before.
No, not about this one.
Are you being sarcastic?
No, we haven't spoken about this one. We've spoken about both remakes of this movie.
Oh, you mean like okay. Yeah, so yeah, my number one is and it's one of my all-time favorite movies in general, Black Christmas.
I like this movie. It is
I
the
love this one.
we have been through on Angel's channel. We have a series called Remakes.
Yeah.
We have been through how many remakes have they done of this now? I've lost count of how many times we've spoken about poor imitations of Black Christmas.
Just two so far, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But
Neither of which are great. This one, awesome.
no, this is a perfect film. I think that it's very I mean it's I think Black Christmas is just one of those films in general though. It's like it really did set up, so many things that got reused later on that were used later in the horror genre, especially in like the subgenre of like slashers and people horror. Um but this was like, epitome of a final girl who you found yourself not just like caring about, but genuinely like on a deeper level, like connecting with, at least for me. I thought some of the scenes in this are so disturbing. Some of the kills are horrific. And it's crazy because it's old and it came out in the 70s. And when you watch it now, it's like yes, obviously it's an older movie. You can tell by the hair. It's an older movie, but as far as the way that it looks and the scenes that are supposed to be the horror side of things and the gore and the things that happen, it's not, it has aged very, very well. Like I can rewatch it now, or I feel like if somebody were to rewatch it now in 2024 as a first watch, I feel like they're going to get pretty much the same experience I got seeing it when I first saw it for the first time. And so it's just it has withstood the hands of time, the sands of time, whatever it is. And it's so great. It's got great messaging, which is, here we are again, relevant with that. And I think the performances are so fun. And like the house mom is like, she's like not even one of the main characters, but she is so funny to me. She's one of the most like lighthearted character, I think, like, cause she's just so silly and the stuff she says. And, but no, I love Black Christmas. I think Black Christmas is scary. It's got a very open-ended ending. So you don't really know where things stand or what's going to happen next. And yeah, and again, the performances were phenomenal. So yeah, Black Christmas, in immediate go-to for the season. It's one of my favorite movies.
Yeah, see, Black Christmas, I always describe as the Christmas version of Halloween. Came out around about the
Yeah.
same time, has stood the test of time still. And for
Yeah.
Christmas horror movies, there is not another Christmas movie this old that is still held in such high regard. There's just not. It is peak. Again, I love this movie. We've spoken about both the remakes. Black Christmas is another one that I watch early into December every single year.
Yep.
The remakes I'll never watch again, either of them. There is a new
One
one
and done.
coming, I heard, though, which means we get to do another one on remakes next year. Apparently, at some point in 2025, we are getting Black Christmas Mark IV.
I mean, can it really get any worse? I don't even know. Probably not.
No, I think the last one was about as bad as it could get.
Yeah, I don't. Jesus Christ, I don't know. I think, yeah, if that's the case, I really hope they decide to not be so heavy-handed with the messaging. Back off a little bit. Subtlety, I think, is key when you're putting messaging in horror.
Yeah, because the last one was the only thing that was missing was a big neon sign that said the message behind the person as it was happening. That was all that was missing.
It was too much. You were like drowning in it. The whole film is too much. And I think that actually sucks because Imogen, the girl that plays the blondie looking, the main character in the second remake, is actually, I love her. She was in the Fright Night remake. I really like her,
Yes.
but I hate seeing actors and actresses that I like and stuff that ends up just not being handled very well. And that's one of those examples. So I guess we'll see. But it's just, this is another one where I don't think it matters who has their hands in it. It doesn't matter what they do. It's never going to be better than. I think it can be better than the remakes. But I don't think anything is going to top the original. Not, at least not for me. Cause I mean, I have this movie on a very high pedestal. So
Yeah, and I do as well, which leads us to the end of our top 10, effectively 5 each Christmas movies. Well, you got 9. We had a double up.
yeah.
Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you go and subscribe to Angel's channel. Link is down below in the description. We've got some remakes coming up. When's our next remake episode? I can't remember what we've got coming or when it's coming.
I have no idea.
We have a whole series on remakes. There are more coming. We just don't know when.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now I'm thinking, oh, never mind. I'll say that one. It's not on recording. I have no idea.
No. But
Did we decide not to do one for December because I don't do content in December? I can't remember.
I can't remember. No, we'll work it out off air. But hey, thank you very much for watching. This has been a real different episode to normal. Let us know in the comments what you think of that. Also, let us know in the comments what Christmas movies we missed, because we picked 9 out of about 19,000 Christmas horror movies. So let us know which ones we missed, and maybe we'll pick some of those and cover them next Christmas for you. Or
unless there's Silent Night, and then I'm not doing that. But other than that,
yeah, well, depending on what else is in there, I may pick some out because I've got an entire month of Christmas reviews on YouTube, 2 a week for an entire month in December.
Good Lord.
This is the first episode that comes out, so get the comments full, and if you get enough in there, I'll just review what you've told me to. I won't even bother with creating any other content, just what you've asked for.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's about it, and we'll catch you new time. We'll catch you next time, and I'm going to leave you with our new outro. See you later.
Topics flipping every week. Conversations make you freak. Angel's voice so bold and sleek. Scott's opinions ever peak. Disputes turn to comedy. Keeping it raw for you and me. Tune it in so faithfully. Laughing out loud endlessly. Voices with you always clash.